Hey, hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. And today we are diving into Cogito V2, most powerful open source it's released so far. So the reason I'm saying it right, it's most powerful. So forget your thought about reasoning in LLMs because the models doesn't think harder. They think into the smarter way of it doing it. And being into the open source, the cognitive V2 is going to be having the internal reasoning process. So it's not just search the right answer, but it actually accurately gets start for that. So unlike the other models, if you see it right, the reasoning side of the models will take longer, kind of like a route for reasoning, because it takes kind of like a time for it to get reason. But when you say like cognitive V2, it's not gonna be uh, not take a longer time to reason it, right? It's take a shorter time to reason. So that's for the major one. But when it comes to the two different size model, it is like it is 17 billion density with 109 MOE, the mixture of the expert, and the second one is a larger one with 671 billion MOE. So what that is means it is the strongest open model in the world. That means it beats the llama for quite comfortable in terms of performance. And the latest DeepSeek V3 and DeepSeek R1 both models are going to be the closure models to have the kind of like ones. So how this deep intelligence is built? It's built on uh, it's called IDA. It means like the model has been internally doing the reasoning process using the iterative policy improvement rather than simply searching longer interference time. So how can I explain that into the in a layman terms? Whenever you ask your LLM models to be reason, it takes a longer time to reason and come back to you because it doesn't reason internally, right? And it's gonna reason from the external sources of the information, and it's take a longer time for the interference time. So that's where the concept calls kind of like iterative policy improvement gonna comes up and helps it. And I'm gonna show you how this model is actually working out, and I'm gonna give a demo how you're gonna play or install or might be use this model into the upcoming your AI project. The novel part of like it's like it has the strong kind of like searching capabilities. So it takes while it's searching, it have a less than 60% of searching compared to DeepSeek R1. That's quite achievement in terms of like the ones which is going to be the, and this model has been available into the Hugging Face, and it's been available into the Together and Bayesian host as well. And you can run it into the locally, right? That's pretty good because we need a model to be run locally and try to see how it's going to build it. And this model is called as a super intelligence, AGI kind of a model. So the reason it is being called that way for doing it right, so it has a self improving the AI which we talked earlier. So let's say it's like if you're building the agent, right? If you're planning the agent, and if you're trying to use those LLMs, but those LLMs doesn't have those MOEs within them, so that like when you build the agents, you require the mixture of expert within that. And what Co- Cogito V2 is gonna provide you, it's gonna provide you those kind of like perfect for the LLM based approaches. So if I wanted to build something into the LLM base, it is pretty good for me to use this model. And I strongly recommend to the people who are building the agents in a modern era and try to go with the Cognito LLM and start seeing like how this model is gonna build, performs, and how it's gonna be responding with the agentic scenarios. Okay, let's comes to um, the last year they comes up with the Cognito V1, which you can locally can deploy and run it, and now they comes up into building the super intelligence in terms of like uh, in a multiple domains of the loops. So this started comes up with uh, kind of like a distillized reasoning process, and that's helped this model to perform pretty stronger. So unlike the first model, they've been improvised the digital reasoning capabilities into the parameters in a searchable instance once, and MOE models perform far better from the DeepSeek reasoning, and it does it into 60% shorter, which I've been explained to it. But let's see like how it is really testing into the test scenarios. And if you looks for the 70B dense model and reasoning and non-reasoning, if you look at like the benchmarks in general and max and multi-language and factuality, which is like factuality, I still I'm not sure like why it's been pretty low into the reasoning, because that's how it has to be work into the um, uh, factuality. But I don't think like why it's not performed well in there. But when it comes to the rest of the thinking ones with the GPT-4, it's done significantly very higher. And especially I like the major component which I'm thinking about, like the diamond and GPQA diamond, which is like 62.4. It is pretty high. And when it comes to the bigger model with MOE and reasoning, it's quite significant. The mathematically it's been improved by 86, right? And thinking with the images as well, if you give to the model to think, hey, okay, can you compare the two images and start looking at them carefully? First image is gonna be so the moment if you given the images itself, it's understanding about the images, and it's gonna gives you uh, the response in a comparison, right? Both are male animals with the natural habitats of that, and it's understand these are like high quality wildlife photographic, and the images use the background the subject without overwhelming, and the environment is like antique settings and water is rippling. So it's understand those images into the better way of doing it. But let's see is like how 405B dense model is performing in non-reasoning and reasoning, and it's significantly been outperforms the major one is the factuality. That's where I was talking earlier. It's been significant 19% high in here, right? So that's among the highest one they are showing it. And rest, if it comes to the multilingual capabilities, it's got pretty good. So we can call this is a best open source model so far for us in terms of the using the AI. And the GPA Diamond is the one which is like they made a significant the 14% higher in terms of like the building the one. But GPT 4.1 is still claiming the highest spot. But if you compare to the GPT 4.1, this is quite the Cognito model performance wise. But I see a slight dip into the other ones, and let's see how we are gonna use this model. Try to see is like what kind of like reasoning which we can give to this model. Just wait, I'm gonna show you the how this model performing real time. Okay, let's try how we are gonna access the Cogito V2. All you need to click that together and it's gonna comes into Cogito V2 preview at 671 billions MOE for API, world class for reasoning approach super intelligence. And you whatever gonna be we discuss, it's been there for your Python, TypeScript, and your endpoint, and how you're gonna run into your playground, how you're gonna deploy the model, and how you're gonna start enabling the thinking by kind of like, and how you have to import that, and it's gonna be comes into the cost. So all he needs to do is like to go to your playground. So the major thing, what I'm thinking in a playground, I wanted to see how deep Cognito V2, right? And it's gonna works in terms of like the preview of the reasoning it. So I started a simple kind of like you have a three boxes, um, and one contains only apple, and another one contains oranges, and one contains a both. And if you someone mislabel the particular box, if you pick the one out, one fruit from the box, and how does you can do the labeling of the other boxes correctly. So what I've done it like I've just given the kind of like reasoning to it. So it started solving that one. So it's understand box one has label apple must be wrong and oranges must be wrong, and it might be wrong with the both. That's perfect, right? So it understand that, and solution is like, since this label is wrong, they it must contain only one type of fruit, either it's all apples or all oranges. So I can, let's say I pick up the apple one and it gives me orange. Then let's continue. If I got an apple from the both the boxes, it must be only the apple one. And how it's gonna things, right? So it's having the more reasoning and the faster it's responding it. And the way we look at it, right? First LLM, the open source with the agentic one, how faster it's gonna responding into the deep analysis. And it's perfectly labeled. The box which I took the fruit was both, right? Now I label apple only, and the box label oranges only, actually the both, and the box label as apple only might be the oranges. So this works, and that's how the reasoning is being in this particular one. And you can increase your output length, right, and your precise, and you can start defining your safety. You can use the llama guard for your model safety, which is really required if you are doing any kind of like a production deployment, because nobody can be do the jailbreaking, or might be do some kind of like hacking in terms of like poisoning your model, or with doing a kind of like enormous prompting side of the ones. I hope you like this video, and please share your thoughts. What are the things I need to improve? And thank you so much for the people who subscribe my channel. I got 754 subscriber, and thanks to all those subscribers who actually encouraging me and making me to create more AI contents. Thanks everyone.